from the city, Finance Director Jody Dickinson, City Manager Mike Malinoff, Tricia Hopkins. That looks like what I see from the screens, and Madeline Horo from City of Annapolis TV. So welcome everybody. And I sent out last week an agenda, a draft agenda. Any revisions or corrections to the agenda? Hearing none, entertain a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
So move.
Moved by Bob Burton, seconded by Terry Hepworth. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, agenda is approved. As I noted before we went live, staff, I believe, has to leave early today because of some trainings. And I think they'll be leaving around 9 o'clock. And go through the agenda as best we can with staff. But one item on the agenda, and that is collective bargaining wrap-up. Staff asked if we could defer that or any significant discussion of that till next meeting. I said yes, because I got a sense that it may be more than just a perfunctory 2-minute presentation. I did ask if we'd have at least a preliminary briefing and then defer any significant discussion till next time. So minutes were sent out for the October 13th meeting. You all had an opportunity to review them, the action minutes. Any revisions or corrections? Hearing none, entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the October 13th, 2022 meeting.
So moved.
Made by Frank Brown, seconded by Bob Burton. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Guys have it. Minutes are approved. We'll go into reports. Finance Department. Jody, what, if anything, do you have from the Finance Department?
Do you want me to talk about the bond sale yesterday, or is that somewhere else on the agenda?
No, that is not on the agenda somewhere else, so that'd be a good place to do it.
All right, so I will report that we sold bonds yesterday, our Series A tax exempt bonds. 36 million sold to Janney Montgomery Scott, and the true interest cost over the time of the bonds was about, I think it's 3.6, almost 3.7%, which is really good and better than the financial advisors were expecting or using for their projections. They thought it would be a bit higher. And the taxable issue, $8 million sold to Raymond James, and the true interest cost all in over time was about 4.04, I believe. So that was successful. We had, I think, 11 bidders on the first one and 5 on the second. So that was very successful. Better rates on both than they anticipated. This provides new money for our capital projects, but it also helps us refinance the sub debt for the P3 deal, which was very expensive. And the present value savings is calculated finally at 15.171 million over the present value over the course of the 30 years of debt. So that's, I don't know if anybody has any specific questions about it.
It sounds, Jody, like it was successful. It perhaps met or even exceeded expectations, and it was good, robust bidding on the on both issues.
I'm sorry, was that a question?
No. It was just an observation and a comment.
Okay. I just hope I didn't, that's what I thought it was, but I might have missed part of your sentence. So
No, you did not. It was just a comment saying that it looked like it was very successful, had a good robust bidding. And,
Yeah.
uh,
We were fortunate. They said that the rates had come down a little bit in the last few days, so we were bidding at a very good time. And then our settlement on the debt comes in 2 weeks where we have to exchange all the funds.
Okay, great. Anybody have any questions, comments about Jody's report on the bond sale?
I'm giddy. I think that's a huge milestone and the strategy worked. I think Jody should be commended. That's a big sigh of relief. It's congratulations.
Thank you. It took a lot of effort. I don't do any of the hard stuff. And that's all the experts doing that, but it does take time and decision making and a lot of meetings, as I've found out.
Okay, well, great.
So as far as the finance department is concerned, we're still trying to fill positions. We got a couple positions filled, but we still got a few, 3 or 4 more that have got to be filled. We're doing interviews next week.
Okay, great. What else? Anything else from finance? Jody,
Sorry.
anything else from finance department?
Is that a question?
Yes, it was anything. Do you have anything else from finance
Oh,
department?
okay. I'm sorry. I'm got you on the speaker and it's a little difficult to hear sometimes. So, no, not necessarily. We're the financial report, the ACFR is, it's coming later than we thought. We're not going to get it out in December, likely January. We're pulling it together, but we only have one person pulling the whole thing together now because the accounting manager left for another position. So my assistant finance director, Julie, has been really working hard to try to pull it all together, but it's such a big effort that it takes a lot of time. So we're working on that, and we hope to have it out in January.
Okay, great. Who was it that left for another position?
Her name was Peju Okunrinboye.
Okay,
She was accounting manager. I just changed that position to an accounting manager, and she took a position with the state of Maryland.
okay. Thanks. Anybody have any questions or comments for Jody on her report? Not, thank you. Mike, do you have anything for us today?
Thanks, Fred. Yeah, just a couple of things. Tomorrow we have our department directors and key staff planning retreat. I don't know that we've had one for several years, and we're meeting over at Quiet Waters all day, and look forward to it, getting everyone together, do a little bit of leadership training, and trying to, what I perceive, and not just this organization, but many during COVID and all the lockdowns and virtuals, to try to bring us together a little closer. We also have scheduled a council retreat on January 7th. Alderman Arnett had been pushing for that a lot to try to revisit some strategic planning that was put together in 2013-ish, and then get the council together and do similar. Not that they don't meet jointly, but it's a good opportunity to come together for a day long at MML and try to plan for the city's future. I think but I just want to mention that we did hire, maybe even longer than a month ago, but a new transit director, Marcus Moore. That position was open for well over a year, and we ended up hiring somebody from within who has, I think, turned out to be a real gem, very good communicator, and seems to be willing to address the myriad of parking related issues that seem to come up because Alderman Turney has a very active constituency and a little bit Alderman Arnett, but he seems to be really on top of it and likes it. So that's turned out to be, I think, a gem. And then last, you had alluded to it, but we do have a EOC exercise this morning, the city breaks up into two teams, a red team and a blue team, just sort of a first, not really first and second string, but just the backup group too. And I don't know what the exercise is going to be, but I commend Director Simmons for doing this because, as you know, in this day and age and a myriad of things that go on, it's important to be prepared. And that's why we have to head out around 9. Thank you.
So Mike, just, although you don't know the specifics, what types of things do you do with that type of exercise? Or could you do?
Well, they gave me a little bit of a background on it, but sometimes depending on the situation, whether the mayor declares an emergency, whether the mayor declares a curfew, we have to be able to prepare for emergency procurement. I mean, as Jody, who's on the call, knows, you have rules on procurement and we don't necessarily have the funds set aside. And it allows us to suspend some of those rules to be able to purchase. We also work with where if we have to move people out of certain locations, depending on the nature of the exercise. Here we get hurricanes and storms, so sometimes that can be an issue. And then, basically getting public safety, first responders queued and set up, and then second responders like the inspectors and the like to get out and make sure buildings, and if there are building damage, if they're safe and secure, and general things like that.
Great.
If you haven't seen it, we have a really first-class EOC facility in the police, underneath the police department. Basically, it was built several years ago. The funding largely came from the state. Governor Ehrlich wanted to have an EOC that he could utilize closer to the State House because it's in Pikesville, I believe, for the state. And so the city was able to get a nice facility built, and we have a first-class team operating it, and it's worth a visit at some point if you haven't seen it already.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Anybody have any questions or comments about Mike's report? If not, we'll move on. I see Tim isn't here and Alderman Arnett is not here. Anybody have anything on the audit committee? No. Okay, move on from that. Collective bargaining wrap-up. This was something that Ed Meehan asked that we put on the agenda, discussed it with staff, and Jody said that, team is working to put something together for it, but asked for a little bit of time until the next meeting, particularly because of the EOC exercise today, to be able to present. I did ask Jody if she could make just a very brief, overview and defer any more substantive or significant conversation and reporting till the next meeting. Jody, is there anything you can just briefly touch on, and we'll have it on the agenda for the next meeting for more detailed discussion?
So based on your emails, I sent around your report again, and I don't have it in front of me to go point by point. But Tricia, in a minute, Tricia will talk a little bit about the calendar, because I think that was one of the concerns, is the timing of negotiations. And I can tell you about how we handle the finance for the budget piece. I'll do that now. Jody, let me stop you for a sec. And one of the, I think, interesting concerns was, we spent a fair amount of time talking about this issue. We as a fact with staff, and we put together a report that was delivered to the mayor and council. And then we as a group did not hear and have not heard anything further about the reaction or reactions to the comments we made in our report. So whether it's today or next meeting,
I think in addition to the things you're going to mention, would like some feedback, if there is any, on the facts, comments, feedback from the mayor and council.
So not just for the union negotiation comments, for the whole report?
Yeah,
The comments meant
we-
throughout the,
Yeah, we took a lot of time to prepare and submit the report to the mayor and council. And we'd like to have some feedback, even if it's, they didn't have anything to say about it, but at least some closure as to what the reaction, if any, was to the report and recommendations.
okay, so I thought that
And-
most,
I was gonna say, if you're not prepared to, discuss all that today, that's fine. We'll, because I will have it on the next month's agenda.
yeah, that'll take some organization on thoughts to cover the whole report. I wouldn't want to speak without some kind of organization to that.
I see,
So-
wait, I see the city manager has his hand up.
Yeah, and I just think Jody's right, and Fred, I'd probably be better for us to get together. I know you have Ellie on the phone, on the meeting too. I don't know whether she wants to comment from the council standpoint, but why don't you let us get together and be able to present in more detail in January.
Okay, that's fine. Ellie, do you have anything you want to add at this point, or you want to defer till January?
What I can say is that your letter initiated some review of the current code and the suggested of the budget and some of the milestones. And we, as a council, intend, after the city manager review, I reviewed it with Director Dickinson the other day. We may have that on beginning of next year. We'll have some legislation where there's no confusion between the two code sections, one on union negotiations and one on the budget, with the ultimate goal of having a successful budget process. So to be coming somewhat early January.
Okay, thank you for that. Do I see another hand up?
Well,
Tricia?
so I do have your report in front of me. I just want to make two comments, and of course, we absolutely will get together and respond more formally, but you had identified in there a need to continue the rates of pay into the next year, that we need some mechanism, and I can assure you we always do that. What we enter into is a letter of agreement to continue should we not conclude negotiations. That's the standard practice. It is always woven into the collective bargaining situation, and so that is thankfully not been necessary, but we do have that as an element of negotiation.
Okay, thank you for that comment.
Yeah.
Any questions, comments from commission members at this point, knowing that we're going to defer more detailed discussion until the next meeting? Okay, thanks all of you for those comments, and look forward to presentation at the next meeting, and we'll make that a significant part of the agenda. Unfinished business. Bob, I'm not aware that there's anything new from the spending affordability subcommittee, is there?
Nothing of substance. I think you and I have been talking offline, Fred, on a parallel project to this, which at some point in time, you and I want to bring back to the fact, but at this point, not ready to do this. And that parallel project would be in support of putting together a final spending affordability type recommendation. I mean, we had one which we put forward, as you know, a year and a half ago, but there was a desire for more information, which would add more structure to it, as well as looking at, the more clearly or more deeply the spending affordability function of the county and of the state. And in the process, perhaps gathering more substantial data, if you will, that would be part of the spending affordability committee's function in terms of what role it would play within city government in terms of the recommendations that it would make from year to year as the city prepares for its budgetary process. So, I would assume at the next meeting, we would perhaps have more that we'd want to share, but we're just not there yet on that. Are you in agreement with that, Fred?
Yes. Very good. Thank you, Bob. Moving on to new business, resolution R 5822 was referred to the fact by the mayor and council. And I sent those materials out to you with the meeting notice. It's a very simple resolution that alters a few police department fees dealing with, alters certain police department fees. It's not something that I would have necessarily referred to the fact. It's in my mind, it's not that substantive, but we were asked for recommendations, or it was referred to us, and I think we're obligated to at least briefly discuss it and decide if we want to take any position, make any recommendations back to the mayor and council. Try to see if I can bring it up on my screen. You all have the ordinance there with the materials, at least a link to it, and the 3 or 4 changes are on bottom page 2, top of page 3. It makes a minor increase in the amount of the fee for Annapolis Police Department, FBI, and state live scans. Adds new fees for child care live scan for child care volunteers, and a new fee for Maryland Mentor for child care volunteers. Those fees are first one was $20 plus $29.25 per record. Second one was $15 with a certification card. And the third one is, the next one is a live scan with gold seal, $20 plus $19 per record. I believe those are the only changes to the fee schedule. I personally don't have any objection to it. And I would recommend either we take no position or we give a favorable recommendation. Alderman Tierney, I see that you are one of the sponsors of that resolution. Anything you'd like to add at this point?
Just one addition to that is that it simply does align this fee with what the state is charging. So that is really the genesis of this modification.
Yeah, I can't imagine that these are types of activities that generate a lot of fees and a lot of
yeah, not a real revenue driver, nor do we want it to be, right?
Right. We just want to make sure that if we are being asked for certain records or certain activities, that we're getting a reasonable fee for them. So, all right, Bob?
Yes, I would recommend that, we go ahead and issue a favorable report, as our function as a financial advisory commission. I do believe, and I am thankful that, the administration and the city council, if they're going to amend fees or if they're going to amend the budget during the course of the fiscal year, that at least we do have the opportunity to review it. And I'm very appreciative of that because certainly any amending process during the fiscal year to the budget, whether it be moving money around, raising fees, or rearranging allocations and so forth, would be, I think, of interest to us. And I want to express my appreciation as part of the commission for the administration and the city council, referring this to us. So as minor as it may be, it's still, I think, an important process and certainly a valued, tool of communication for us. So thank you. I'll move that we favorably recommend the fee increases as presented.
A motion made by Bob Burden, seconded by Frank Brown. Any discussion, further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye, raising the right hand. Any opposed?
Aye.
Carries unanimously. Jody, can you see that Kim prepares a notification to the city council as she usually does?
Yes, I will. Is Kim on the call?
No.
Oh,
And I sent her an email, I think last night or very early this morning. I think last night asking her to send out a new link because I misplaced mine. I didn't hear back from her, which is highly unusual.
yeah,
But
that's,
I found the old link. So
okay. No, I thought, I thought she was planning on being on this morning. I didn't know she wasn't, so.
yeah, usually she tells me if for some reason she can't, and I
Yeah.
didn't hear anything, so I assume she would. But that's neither here nor there.
Well, I'm concerned. I get to work and figure out where she's at. Everything's all right. Okay,
Okay, and next item, 2023 meeting dates. These are proposed to be the same day of the month and time as we've been doing, the second Thursday of the month, 8 a.m. virtually, unless there's some change during the course of the year, but I don't necessarily anticipate that at this point. The only month that there will not be a regular meeting scheduled is the month of August, when all city boards and commissions take off. If we have some business we need to transact, then we'll schedule a meeting. But right now, under the proposed schedule, there's no meeting, I think, for the month of August. Any comments or questions on that? Okay, next, each year, every board and commission in the city need to file an annual report with the city clerk. Typically, staff will prepare that report for my review and then submit it to the commission. We will take this up at the next meeting. And Jody, my last communication with Kim was that she would be preparing a draft of that for me, as she has in the past. And she didn't know when she would get it to me. So she didn't know whether we would have it for today's meeting or the January meeting. So I'm assuming we'll get it in due course, in plenty of time to review, revise, and take it up at the January meeting.
all right, I'll pass that along to her.
Okay. Any questions about the
Excuse me.
report?
Excuse me.
Hearing none. Every board commission is supposed to have elections, annually. So we will have elections at the next meeting. If somebody else would like to be chair, feel free to step up. I have no ownership of the chairmanship. If nobody else would like to take over as chair, then, I will agree to do it for another year. Bob Burton is vice chair, and I'll leave it up to Bob to make his feelings known on that. And we can just be prepared at the next meeting to either approve Bob and I for another year or have some alteration in the leadership. And any comments or questions on that? No. Okay. Our next meeting, Zoom again, January 12th at 8 a.m. The only thing at this point, in addition to normal reports that I'm aware of, is we will have the collective bargaining issue back on the agenda for more detailed discussion. And we'll see what, if anything else comes up in the meantime. I know that at the last meeting, or prior to the last meeting, Jim had asked to be relieved of his position as a fact representative to the audit committee. He agreed to step on, or to stay on, I believe, until another fact member stepped up to the plate and would like to take that over. To my knowledge, up to this point in time, nobody else has said they have a burning interest, or an interest, not even burning interest, an interest in stepping up to the audit committee. If anybody would like to do that, please reach out to me and we'll see if we can coordinate that. Anything else for the good of the order today? Thanks all of you for your participation. Good luck to staff on the EOC, whatever you call it. And everybody have a great holiday season. Be safe, be happy, be merry, and be healthy. So we'll see you on January 12th, if not before.
Take care, everyone.
Motion to adjourn.
Safe travels.
Did I hear a motion to adjourn?
Thank you. Merry
Thank you.
Christmas.
Yeah, I think I heard a motion to adjourn in a second. I'm not sure who, but a bunch of you were chiming in. We really want to get out of here, don't we? So please stand adjourned at